What's up, everybody? Thralls of Metal here. I'm Jammin John.
Necrotic Nick.
And we have yet another album review for you. And this time we're going to go over something that we've been over actually quite a few times before. We are going over the latest offering from Full of Hell, Broken Sword, Rotten Shield. This also comes out on the 16th of May on Closed Casket Activities. For those that don't know, these guys are from Ocean City, Maryland, and Pennsylvania, collectively. Formed in 2009, this is their 7th EP. As I said, we've been over a bunch by these guys. Garden of Burning Apparitions, Coagulated Bliss, and the split/EP that they did with Primitive Man. I don't remember what that was called.
That was a collab. I forget the name of it. It's nightmare-inducing.
Yes.
And for those that don't know, this band is, hard to describe. It's a blend of grindcore, death metal, power violence, noise, even a little bit of electronic stuff. It's pretty much sound wrapped in electrified barbed wire that's covered in teeth.
Pretty fair, actually.
Honestly, yeah. This band is known for just being like off the wall, just terrifyingly brutal and intense. Their rep kind of speaks for themselves. But this kind of comes at an interesting point because their last album, Coagulated Bliss, we went over, I would say was their most accessible. Don't get it twisted. It's not like pop songs or anything like that. That's not gonna ever happen with this band. But it was one of their most straightforward albums since Trumpeting Ecstasy because this band, I don't know, it kind of depends on when you catch them. Like sometimes they are ferociously just grind and death metal. Sometimes they do a lot more noise tracks than you expect or do expect. I don't know, depends on how long you've been listening to this band. But their sound is frequently shifting and changing and evolving. And naturally, when I saw they released another EP, I was interested in terms of what they were going to do. And this EP is really wild because legit, I would say every song in here is very different and it kind of represents different sides of their sound. Like for example, the opening track, which is the title track, comes in kind of like you expect. It's grindy, it's got death metal riffs, it's blasty, it's vicious. It's like a nasty, kind of shared stage between Converge and Pig Destroyer. It is probably the most gnarly track on here in terms of just being fast, violent, definitely embodying their more death metal, death grind sound. But then after that, it starts getting a little bit weirder.
A bit weirder and a bit slower. The next track, From a Dog's Mouth, A Blessing, it's got kind of a stomp to it. Definitely more punky, for sure.
Yeah.
Something I've always liked about this band are the vocals. Dylan's vocals sound particularly unhinged at any given time, but I like this because they're more off in the distance, and it sounds like he's yelling through a bullhorn, but at the opposing end of a football field. You can barely hear it, but it's there.
Production on here is wild. This was produced by Kevin Bernstein, who's worked with Outer Heaven, Chip Hang, and Backslider, and has also worked with Full of Hell before. And this band's sound is caustic and nuts, but that also plays in the production too, because they like to, pan vocals and layer them and do a lot of different guitar filters and such. I would say the guitar tone on, all the songs that have guitars, it feels a little bit different each time. From a Dog's Mouth, A Blessing, and the song Knight's Oath in particular, this really showcases their hardcore punk influence. This more kind of rowdy, straightforward kind of sound. It's very old school sounding too. This isn't metallic hardcore. It's Full of Hell kind of adding a little bit of metal to just kind of classic, old school hardcore. There's elements in there that I could have sworn I heard Bad Brains or even Minor Threat. But again, with the Full of Hell filter over it, which is terrifying pretty much at all times.
Static and broken glass and zippers and whispers and someone being dragged across a floor. It's all there. It's very unsettling. But we even get to go to the club a couple times. Both Corpse Light and Mirhelm are still relatively unsettling because you got a whole bunch of voices and there's where the vocal panning comes in. It's just whispers and I'm not sure what's going on here. You ever seen the scene in Beer Fest where they're actually trying to find the actual beer fest, right? And they have to go through all the dark alleyways and they go into this club and there's some weird people fucking in a room, and it's just kind of weird. It's kind of like that. That's actually what it reminds me of.
I pretty much said it's like Goth Night, except everyone that was invited were Cenobites. It's the only like full-on electronic track in here, talking about Corpse Light, and it's just based on these like pulsating, droning synths and a horrifying vocal performance from Dylan on here, like panning back and forth, alternating screams and growls. It's just dark and unsettling the entire time. And Mirror Helm, I don't know if I could call it a song. It's more or less like a little segue track, but it has some soundscapes in it that are just particularly creepy. Like it sounds like, someone groaning while dragging a body in like a big like tarp or something like that. Very suspicious noises, I would call them. But there's also, again, like this droning ambience in the background and this like weird electronic hum. Mm-hmm. And it reminded me a lot of like Neurosis, especially like Enemy of the Sun, like particularly that album. The texture of this entire album, I'll just say, is like sandpaper. It's gritty, it's raw sounding, even in the sections with the electronic moments where, generally you think of like warm synth sounding very smooth. It still sounds kind of jagged. But believe it or not, this EP gets even stranger. I mean, if you've been listening to Full of Hell for a while, you probably already believe me. Lament of all things. This thing comes in noisy, disheveled, ugly. It's pretty much like if you took Jesus Lizard and Melvins and fed them after midnight. You get these twisting, sliding guitars. They're very atonal. Dylan is barking his guts out. You kind of alternating between screams and growls. The song feels off-kilter. It's almost like it's drunk, and it's an angry drunk that wants to fight you, but probably doesn't have the coordination to actually do it. I mean, the only thing that will probably make contact with is probably the floor. But yeah, it's just this weird noise rock track, which, I mean, noise rock, like, all right, this band does like a lot of like harsh noise, like power electronics and stuff like that, like, the stuff that you associate with like Godflesh or like the various side projects around Godflesh. This is just flat out kind of noise rock. Even the guitars kind of have like this kind of tinny, grainy sound to them. Like they're not a full on like death metal chug or a grindcore sound. Like they're just squawky.
You talked about sandpaper earlier, so it's like, what if you, instead of a guitar pick, you just used a filed down piece of sandpaper? Like it's kind of got that, just like that scraping grit across it. And yeah, Lament of all things, that reminded me of being on a tilt-a-whirl as a kid. Like right before you barf.
Because you're gonna barf.
Like you don't know where you're going or how you're spinning, but the whole song just kind of like it moves up and down, and it sounds like it's spinning. It sounds like right before you barf.
That's the only ride I check the cars before getting on, because that's the one like, I know some kid fucking puked in here. No other ride. Like Scrambler, fine. The fucking Ferris wheel, yeah, no, I'll take my fucking risk. Tilt-a-whirl, check the fucking cart. But they honestly saved quite possibly the most savage track to close this one out. To Ruin and the World's Ending, which kind of comes across like a toast. Which, it's 2025. You know what? We're probably overdue for ruin and world-ending shit. Mm-hmm. But this song is, I mean, honestly, to me, it sounds like they're doing their best Thou impression. Mm-hmm. This is sludge, and it's dense, it's thick. The heaviest guitars that show up on the album are here. Every strum feels like it is drenched in, like, sizzly feedback. It sounds like they're boiling the guitars.
It's got a Primitive Man vibe to it, too. Just, Primitive Man to me is probably, some of the like the heaviest, most caustic sounding stuff out there. But it's got that same kind of vibe to it. It's got that kind of like unhinged, horrifying thing going on, just not laid on it as heavy as Primitive Man would.
Yeah, this actually has like a good like melody to the riff. Like it has like kind of a sludgy like vibe to it, like I Hate God-ish.
Yep.
The rhythm itself is a little bit more straightforward. It's slow and menacing. It stays that way the entire time. It's also the longest track on here at just over 4 minutes, but it draws out all of that atmosphere, and it's just absolutely disgusting. In fact, this album kind of like just bookends with two different kinds of like the heaviest shit that they have. Mm-hmm. Now, the inside of this, though, the meat in this sandwich, I think is also really interesting. As I said before, this feels like them, like showcasing all the different kinds of like stuff that they get into. And it kind of runs almost like a covers album. but it's all their material. Like, some of these songs feel like they are played in the spirit of like some of the bands that probably have influenced them. And honestly, I think that makes for a really good EP, because this doesn't feel like a collection of extras. You know, this stands on its own. And I also like it because this almost kind of contrasts Coagulated Bliss. Again, Coagulated Bliss, I would argue, is possibly one of their most accessible albums. Again, it's a grindy shit fit, and it's fucking heavier than hell, but it is a little bit more approachable than, say, Garden of Burning Apparitions, which is just a noisy hellscape full of blasts and shrieking. I also like that album. But this is almost kind of like, you know, the reminder that this band can get, you know, stranger down the line. And I like the fact that it almost feels like a fucked up story. Like, I feel like I just watched like a Quentin Tarantino movie. Like, you got drugged and end up in a fucking club, and then, I don't know, somewhere around To Ruin and the World's Ending, you are in the trunk of a car where they're blaring this song and they're digging a shallow grave for you.
Might be a good movie.
Yeah, I think Marathon was where they're wrapping you up in the tarp, too.
Yep. I mean, as far as negatives, it's really hard to find them, especially with the content of this record, because there are so many unique things happening. It doesn't allow you to lose your attention span. At all, because the twists and turns that are coming around every corner, like, you just don't know what's going to happen. And from song to song, this record has its own identity, so that's pretty cool, actually, especially for an EP, because normally an EP doesn't do that.
Yeah. Like, generally you're looking at something that's going to, like, tease the next release.
Yeah.
Or it's like, hey, we had these leftover songs and we didn't want to do a special edition and just kind of jack up the price of the album again.
Right.
Now, this has repeat value, and, like, even the more, like, ambient tracks, I kind of dig what they did with them, like, in terms of, like, the layering of sound and the vibe and atmosphere in here. I mean, this band knows how to do that. I just kind of like dig the overall sound of this, and I like the fact that each one of these songs really kind of has its own identity, and they maintain this, you know, quirky heaviness. It's constantly heavy, but it's heavy in different ways from every track, and I don't know, I like it. Like, this is kind of one I think I would kind of like jam the whole thing, but honestly, like, the opening track and the closing track, I'll definitely jam those again. And who knows, I might bump Corpse Light, you know, just roll up next to someone and like,
right,
what you listen to is like, sounds nice. Like, listen to what he's saying. He's talking to the devil. Would you like to talk to the devil too? Yeah, overall, honestly, I got to give this 4 stars. This is a really interesting EP. I can't necessarily call it experimental because that's kind of this band's nature. For as many times as they are like just straight on it, like with the deathgrind and power violence stuff, they go off the grid and employ a lot of like weird soundscapes and just like unconventional stuff. So calling it experimental, I mean, it's kind of like a day in the office for these guys, but I really dig like this entire EP. The songs being very different from one another are really cool. I like the fact that, you know, Lament of All Things is a drunken noise rock song. Like, I didn't expect that at all. The more hardcore oriented ones are fun, they're rowdy, but they also have like Full of Hell's signature kind of noisy, grating, you know, just, you know, gnarly touch to it. This is just flat out fun. And again, props to Kevin Bernstein for the production here, because this sounds really awesome, and he got like a good different vibe for each one of these songs. If you're a longtime Full of Hell listener, you'll dig this. Also, Converge, Nails, again, Jesus Lizard, Melvins, a little bit of like, you know, Agnostic Front that's kind of like peppered in there maybe, and Thou. All of those bands kind of sound like stuff on here. So yeah, if you have a wide musical palette of just harsh, heavy things, check this out.
Oddly enough, I'm going to also go ahead and give this a 4. Initially, it was sitting at a 3.5, but the more I thought about this as we went through this review, I thought about how, like, uniquely fun this album is, especially for an EP. To me, it sounds more like the band was like, here's a bunch of fucked up shit we wrote. There's only 7 songs, but who cares? We're going to make this an EP just to release something. Like, it's pretty awesome, actually, especially the first track and the last track, which are definitely more like songy, I guess. What I've always liked about this band is how well put together such unhinged noise is. Like, there's a purpose for everything. Like, they're definitely trying to convey a message, and what that message may be, I don't know if it's all the shrooms kicked in all at once and here you go, we're on a ride. I'm not sure. Had a surprisingly decent mix to it. Big punchy drums. It's got pretty savage mid-range guitars going on. The vocals, I've always loved the vocals in this band, especially when they're layered or when they're coming at you from all angles. Like the last track, To Ruin in the World's Ending, I really like the layered vocals of the growls and the screams together. Like those two things together just sound particularly kind of fucked, and I like that. So yeah, overall, if you've been a fan of this band for a long time, or any of the bands Nick mentioned, I would say including things like Primitive Man, Bluedos Nord, like there's that kind of like strange stuff going on here. If you're a fan of generally unhinged, crazy music, you're probably going to want to check this out for yourself.
So, if you enjoyed this review, give it a thumbs up. And if you are new to the channel, subscribe, because we do stuff like this all the time. We also have memberships. They are only 99 cents, and our lone perk is doing a members-only live stream, which we will be doing one after we get back from MDF, which, spoiler alert, this is the last review we're doing before we leave for MDF. But we'll be back with, more reviews when we get back. And during this time, we're going to put up some shorts, just a little bit of the MDF scenery, maybe a couple of quick snippets of some of the killer bands we're seeing. Either way, memberships are the main way to support the channel now. We also still have our store, thrallsofmetal.com, that has our t-shirts and hats. And down below, there's a join button. And if you would like to join, that would be awesome. And if not, Full of Hell will fucking find you.
Oh boy. No, I don't know if they'll find you or not. If they do, sorry, or, could be a good time. I don't know, it might be a great time to hang out with these guys. What is a good time is the fact that you're here. Tons of stuff coming your way, album reviews, discography rankings. We got At the Gates coming up. It will happen probably when we get back from MDF. Member streams, non-member streams, both of which I assure you are equally stupid. You'll find out. I just got drunk as fuck on one of them. Nick's never-ending collection updates, states of metal, is it not metal, all the time. That's what we do here at Thralls of Metal. We do it all for you guys because we appreciate you. Thank you for being a part of this channel. Thank you for being a part of what makes Thralls of Metal pretty goddamn awesome. It's amazing to see this channel grow. We couldn't do it without you. Just big thank yous all the time.
Yeah, you guys absolutely rule. Tons of content coming your way. So one more big thank you because you guys are awesome, and we will catch you later.